So I think all of us tried to understand him, but my take was he was psychologically fragmented, so he could not articulate a ideal idea. What is an ideal idea? Well, that which exposes ourself, that helps us see our real self. And what is that? I would say it's back to square one. How can we say and do unto others what we want others to say and do unto us? What don't we do unto others? What we don't want others to do to us? And so, how many people have to go down in order for us to stand up for a system that does not put people down? And that is what we are finding out. And again, on TikTok, I see a lot of people saying how so many things aren't working. Relationships aren't working, jobs aren't working, housing isn't working, mobility and health isn't working. And without trying to attach myself completely to the trends, I do feel there is another wave of reliable information that is going to be trickling into us, the individual, when we can raise our frequency by questioning ourselves and those around us from the idea that there is no separation, there is no distance, there is no differentiation when we get to the core. I'm going to shave soon, probably, but with that being said, people say, how long is this going to take? People say, what do we have to do? What do we need to do in order to accelerate the shift? And so, what I would like to see for myself is trying to interact with those who are in my proximity by sharing art blindfolded, by sharing myself without filters. By trying to promote some line of contact that we can create the ideal, slowly but surely. What does that mean, slowly but surely? Well, imagine if someone came up to you and said, would you like to be a part of the universal society where we all work and discuss with each other what our needs and desires are that are in alignment with the principles of the timeless principles, the principles of goodwill, of non-judgment, but of confrontation upon evil, uniting in opposition through nonviolence, and collectivized events to favor art and innovation, speaking out, listening to our stories. Where is the money going to come from? What do we need to do? What needs to happen for these things to happen? Well, the individual needs to see that the collective will not change without the individual changing themselves, and the collective cannot change without the collective changing themselves. So it works both ways. How can we change ourselves? What was I saying? If someone came up to you and said, do you want to be a part of the universal society where we try to balance urban and rural living, working with the earth, growing food, incubating programs of psychological and spiritual well-being, unifying the religions and science, and removing the materialism, the fanaticism, the idolatry, the my system is better than your system, and acknowledge the fundamental building block of life, which is consciousness. It is considering different states of consciousness that raise the whole of humanity. And so I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say. What can people do if they want to be a part of this universal society? Well, we need to be willing to open our hearts and raise our voice and take a stand in whatever field we are attracted to, that we are guided to, maybe that we're experimenting and we don't know what field works for us. And we try to bring in more resonance with the essence of who we are. Not being this pawn, this robot, this slave that you can just do anything with. Extract more money out of, despite more and more hours or labor is put into trying to get by or thrive even. So I've pretty much shared my piece. What am I going to do today? What do I want to do? What do I really want to do in my heart? I think it's like to try out everything. Like to try out all the different ways we can be creative, compassionate, but also discerning of the subtle and vindictive lies, poisons that are inbred through many ideas and beliefs and systems. So the essence that I want is to reach out to people. To reach out to people. How do we reach out? Well, for me, I've tried in different ways. And today, what do I want? Whether outside or inside, it can be hard because rules sometimes don't allow us to do what we want. Like, there's a library over there, and they don't necessarily allow me to take actions that are peaceful, that don't disturb the peace, but that, for example, holding up a sign that says hello, or a piece of artwork, but sometimes they do let me, but it's not always certain. Let me take a step back. How do I want others to reach out to me? Well, there are multiple ways you can go up to someone. But in honor of the voice and the sacredness of not wasting our voice, asking if people want to connect, if they want to unite, if they want to raise the bar, to raise the standard. And what does that look like and sound like? Challenging the elite, challenging the ego. What is the elite and the ego? Forces that are trying to say the odds are against us, so just follow us. Do what is normal. Don't step outside the law and order, the status quo. But anyways, there's a UN building over here. You can't see it from over here actually, but yeah, I'll decide what I'm going to do. It's a little sunny here, so be careful of the temperature and getting too much sun exposure. But I think we all just want ways to express ourselves, ways to be seen and heard, ways to consider and realize that we are making a difference when we share ourselves, our creativity, and all these, everything that I've shared up to this point may sound too simplistic, but life is simple at its core, but around the core there's a complex geometry, network, system, and there are many ways we can be an example. We could record people while we're trying to interact with people. And that can take up a lot of energy because maybe there's a lot of people that are not interested. But anyways, taking some time out of your day to try to test and experiment, because I don't think there's an ultimate system, is the best thing we can do. And then, whether the system collapses or it gets better before it collapses, that's not us to decide. That's for the people to decide. But the people can't really decide if we can't give them something different. So, and it's not just something different, something that's also central to the human experience. Love. Generating love. It's something that we cannot do on our own, but something that we can do when we see ourself when we see through the separate self, the survival self, the blame, shame, and guilt self. So So the next thing is just me pressing the square. Is it a square? Not exactly. The corners are rounded. Anyways, we'll see what happens. And I want to say to all of you that the light, the spirit, the principle of freedom and humanity can speak through any of us any moment if we just turn the switch and allow ourselves to share what we can at our level that we can understand or that we experience in acknowledgement of higher levels than where we're at. We're not here to share some super, some fix-all idea system. So, all right, that's my piece. Gotta love these hairs, huh? Gotta love them.